Hi everyone, it's lovely to be here. So I used to be on the LIR committee many moons ago, and I haven't been to a LIR event in a long time, so it's lovely to be back. I need to preface all of this by saying that my colleague Isolde Harper was really supposed to deliver this, but she's off on and she couldn't make it. So I just want to give a shout out to her. Her contact details are at the end as well. I suppose we just wanted to give an overview of our journey in Trinity around sustainability. You might call it climate literacy initiatives that we've delivered over the last number of years. And I hope it tells a coherent story, but it's not necessarily very linear. So please bear with me as we progress through. So just to start out with the definition of climate literacy, and it's really important, I guess, to think about, you know, having the knowledge piece and the human-centeredness approach to understanding what climate and sustainability literacy is about. But also, I think it's really important that we're thinking around not just helping our users around understanding and having knowledge around climate literacy, or being climate aware, I should say, but also, you know, translating that into action and being agents of change themselves. And that's writ large across a lot of our strategic plans, etc., across Trinity as well. So we have been thinking a lot around a number of wraparound strategic visions for our own strategic plan. And one of them is around EDI and the other one is around sustainability. And every 2 years we run a survey called LIR ASIERA. And in the last survey, we wanted to ask a question around what our users and readers wanted the library to do in terms of making what we're about more sustainable. And we got some interesting feedback back on that. And when we were coding the comments, we you know, one of the big areas that came out was around education, and it was around awareness raising, you know, everything from very practical things like book swaps to providing education programs, etc., around sustainability. And actually, that was really reassuring to hear because we were already doing some of those things. So it's nice to get that sort of feedback from our users that that's what they wanted in terms of what we were doing as well. So Jared mentioned the Ecological Emergency Book Club there in the blurb. This is something we set up, gosh, I think it's 23 when we set this up. And essentially it was an academic in our School of Medicine and our School of Psychology. We had a good relationship with her, and she was noting she does an awful lot around climate literacy and climate anxiety stuff with her student cohorts. And she wanted to talk to the library around, you know, coming together and building something around a book club. I make it sound fancier than it is. It is just literally a book club. So we've had a number of sessions on that, I'd say 12 to 14 at this stage. And initially we only opened it out to staff and researchers. I think we just wanted to see what the uptake would be, first of all, to dip our toe into it. But we were getting students coming through as well. We were getting different types of researchers. And we've had, you know, everything from fiction, non-fiction. We've taken it outside to have an outdoor book club. We've had some online, but not, they're usually in person. We've joined forces with other institutions like UCD, their School of English. We've done stuff with them. And of course, we have, I suppose, expertise in our academic colleagues that contribute to it as well. And it's really been a fantastic community of practice, I'll say. That's the hook, book club, but it actually ends up being a lot of discussion around what's happening in terms of what's the university saying about sustainability literacy. I'm a little bit worried about this aspect of what's going on around the climate, you know, and it is just really important in terms of, I guess you'd call it an informal support, or, you know, you might want to call it learning, I suppose, as a community together. We were noticing, though, that students were coming to this, and we wanted to have, you know, dedicated sessions for them as well in their own space that they wanted to talk about various, well, we started out as a book club. We thought that would be a good idea, but actually, in fact, what happened was a lot of what I was saying just a second ago, that they were actually using it as an opportunity to share understanding and share their concerns around climate anxiety as well. So what we decided to do is to think more around going back to that concept I mentioned earlier about agency and action. We thought we'd do more practical hands-on type activities, I guess. So we do the odd book club in it as well, but it's very practical things like, you know, grow your own, talking about cooking with your own grown material. We bring those into the library. We've done stuff around visible mending workshops as well, and that's we're finding they're really useful in terms of getting our communities to sort of work through their thought process, because they might be doing something very practical, like doing a particular stitch, but they're actually talking and sharing ideas. So it's been really great and invaluable in terms of providing that safe space, I suppose, for students and community to talk about climate as well. So I guess that's more of we sort of call it the hidden curriculum, the stuff, the learning that students are doing outside of the classroom. We obviously wanted to contribute as well in terms of skills as well, in terms of climate and sustainability awareness. Around the time Gen AI exploded in all of our lives, we were, like I'm sure most of your own institutions as well, grappling with the whole piece around what's the institution saying this, what's our policy around the use of Gen AI in learning and assessment. And we found that students were coming to us asking us for direction on this, and we didn't have all the answers. We were asking our leadership, and everyone was in the same boat grappling with it. So what we decided we could do is at least offer a safe space, not literally, but also, practically as well, in terms of students coming together, again, a bit like I mentioned earlier around climate, but sharing their concerns around AI, and also guidance around. So what we did in the library was we tried to be, I suppose, a mediator of what is the advice and I suppose the direction of travel from the university. What does that look like at school level? And we tried to collate that information for students, almost like a one-stop shop, while the university was trying to come out with a statement on it and policy on it as well. So we were very lucky to have my colleague Jessica Leonard on the team. So she is a scientist by trade herself. She ran with a workshop around talking to students around this, not just the science of AI, but the whole intersectionality of AI and what it means for the environment. So a lot of what Andrew was talking about earlier as well. And really giving students an opportunity to, I suppose, join the dots on what all of these different types of literacies are about. And so Jessica would have done an awful lot of work around the environment, etc. And shared that with students as well. And it was powerful. We invited staff as well. Academic staff were coming to these sessions as well. There were standalone sessions, not embedded, because we were just trying to get something off the ground. Jessica won a Provost Award for her efforts in that. Just to mention our strategy, because I did mention it earlier. So we have a sustainability strategy for the university, and education is one of the 4 pillars in that. So we are very much in alignment with that in terms of what we're doing here. What we're doing in the library, I should say, and just calling out our contribution to what that education piece looks like as well. And writ large, as you can imagine, across the strategies, the UN SDGs. So yeah. In that vein, in terms of the education pillar, university at the time was very much looking at how do we upskill our staff and our students in terms of sustainability awareness and literacy. And so I think it was where are we now, 26? It was in 2024, the first intake of staff across the university undertook a module called Enacting Education for Sustainable Development. It was a very, how will I say, short, intense program. It was accredited. There were, I think, 7 workshops of 3 hours each. It was quite a commitment, and it wasn't just this is how you teach about it, because a lot of us didn't know the science behind it. It was also, we're going to give you some, like a 101 around the science around what's happening in terms of climate change. So it was very intense. It needed to be, there was an awful lot of learning in it. But it was very helpful in terms of our own. About half of the teaching librarians on our team would have done it. Again, you can imagine the opportunity that provided in terms of sharing experience and expertise and knowledge across both teams and across the university as well. Just mentioning as well other initiatives we've taken and been involved in. I suppose the more you go out there into your community and find out what's happening in terms of different aspects of different types of literacies, the more you can have those important conversations in terms of what the library how the library can add value to programs. So many of us in the library would have not just the leadership team, but we would have had colleagues from across the library who were interested in advocating for sustainability, literacy, climate awareness, etc. So we'd loads of team members taking up this training, climate ambassador training. And yeah, it's really important. If you get the opportunity to do it, I'd highly recommend the Antashka program on this. So finally, coming to the point as we're coming towards the end, just wanted to call out our new action plan in this area. So this is the culmination of about, I'm going to say, like we're going back 10 years from when we started thinking around this, but I'd say more intensely in the last maybe 3 years, we've really put more sort of framework around what we're doing. And we were doing stuff already without maybe necessarily realizing it or calling it out, but there's 6 different areas that we're looking at across our space. And one of them is around sustainability literacy. So we had all these groups and it's very grassroots driven, but absolutely as well speaking to the university strategy on this as well. But the one I just wanted to mention here is the one around Trusted Information Resource Group. So that group, led by as Alda, my colleague I mentioned there, essentially what we're working on at the moment is designing workshops, co-designing them with students around sustainability, literacy. I just thought I'd throw this one in here because by the fact that we're having conversations around what the library's doing around sustainability literacy, we're being invited to participate in the university conversations around it, and particularly around misinformation and disinformation. So you can appreciate, obviously, library, that's our can't think of the phrase, but that's our area of expertise, I suppose. So it's about owning that as well. And we have just done a focus group with various colleagues and students across the community, and we've committed to creating these workshops that are fully embedded across colleagues' programs, including really interesting. You see, you don't know these things until you go out and having conversations. There's one module on music and climate change, and on psychology of the climate crisis. So they want us to come in and talk to their students about disinformation, malinformation, and bigger concepts around literacy as well. So that's been very sort of rewarding working with those cohorts as well. So I just call out, we got nominated for a leadership award, a Provost Sustainability Leadership Award this year as well. And I just wanted to say thanks to all of the colleagues across the library. There's about 40 colleagues that have been involved in building this sustainability action plan for the libraries.